At the Vatican, Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI has been laid to rest.
CBS 4's Tina Kraus joins us live from Rome tonight. Tina, what were your first impressions from the funeral mass?
Jim and Naja, well, it was a funeral steeped in papal traditions, similar to that you might expect for a reigning pope, but missing some of the pomp, and that's exactly how Pope Benedict wanted it. He had asked for a more simple and somber ceremony, and that's why we didn't see invitations go out to lots of heads of states around the world. In fact, there were just 2 official delegations invited from here within Italy and Benedict's native Germany.
Tina, I understand that those attending was kind of a mix of the devout and the curious. Tell us more about the people who were there and the turnout for the funeral.
Yeah, there were a lot. I mean, there were around 50,000 people, we're told, who did come down and sit in these seats below in St. Peter's Square. Compare that, though, to more than 1 million people who were here for Pope John Paul II's funeral. But still, those who did come, many of them made an extra special effort. We talked to some people who drove 10 hours to be here from the Pope's native Germany to be here for the service. So, and lots of members of the public, too. Many tourists, actually, who were just lucky enough to get a seat because there were tens of thousands of them here in the square.
So where was the former Pope buried?
Well, he's buried in the basilica behind me, underneath the dome, underneath the altar in what are known as the Vatican grottos. That's where he had asked to be buried, actually in the same spot where Pope John Paul II was buried when he died back in 2005, before he was made a saint later on, and his remains were actually moved into a chapel inside the basilica.
Well, Tina, I heard one missionary suggest that Benedict be recommended for sainthood. What will be his legacy?
Yeah, you know, lots of people are saying his legacy is actually Pope Francis, because if you think about it, if he hadn't retired, Pope Benedict, back in 2013, that wouldn't have triggered the papal election and we wouldn't have Pope Francis. So the fact that he set this precedent also leaves the door open for other popes in the future, showing that dying isn't the only way you leave the papacy.
Tina Kraus reporting from the Vatican. Thank you so much for your insight.